As the sun dipped below the horizon, a cool breeze stirred the air, whispering through the trees and over the blood-soaked soil of the battlefield. The battle had raged for hours, the warriors of Eldenfall and the Iron Dominion locked in a savage struggle. But now, as darkness descended, the fighting had slowed. The echoes of clashing swords and the cries of the wounded seemed to fade into the night. For a brief moment, the land fell silent, the soldiers' breaths ragged, the weight of the battle pressing on them all. Kaelin, leader of Eldenfall's forces, stood atop a small rise, gazing out across the battlefield. His armor was battered, stained with blood and dirt, but his resolve remained unbroken. He had fought countless battles before, but this one felt different. The Dominion's army, led by the ruthless General Varun, had proven to be a force unlike any they had faced. Their war machines, massive iron beasts that tore through ranks like a scythe through wheat, had left devastation in their wake. But Kaelin had fought through worse, and his warriors had proven time and again that they were capable of more than just holding their ground. The night sky, now clear and dotted with stars, cast an eerie light over the scene. Kaelin's eyes, sharp as ever, scanned the battlefield. The Dominion forces had retreated to the far side, where their war machines loomed ominously. The Iron Dominion, though powerful, was not invincible. Kaelin knew that their strength lay in their overwhelming numbers and their advanced technology, war machines that no other army could match. But the terrain here favored him. The dense forest to the west, the cliffs to the east, and the marshes to the south were all natural defenses that could be used to his advantage. Kaelin spurred his horse forward, urging it to the edge of the battlefield where his commanders had gathered. His closest lieutenants, Arik, a fierce warrior with a sharp mind, Valeria, a seasoned archer with eyes like a hawk, and Elira, a brilliant tactician, stood waiting for him. They had fought together for years, and Kaelin trusted them implicitly. "Kaelin," Arik said, his voice hoarse from the battle, "what are we to do now? The Dominion's war machines are too strong. We cannot face them head-on." Kaelin nodded, his gaze never leaving the enemy's lines. "You're right, Arik. A direct assault would be suicide. We must strike where they are weakest." He paused, his mind racing. "The forest to the west. We use it to our advantage. The Dominion's machines cannot maneuver there. It is our only chance." Valeria spoke up, her voice calm yet firm. "We'll need to move quickly. The Dominion will not wait for long." Kaelin turned to Elira, his trusted strategist. "Can we deceive them? Make them believe we're retreating?" Elira's eyes gleamed with the spark of a brilliant idea. "Yes. If we feign a retreat, they will pursue us into the forest. Once they are deep within, we strike. The forest will be our ally." It was a risky plan, but it was their best option. They would give the appearance of retreating, luring the Dominion's forces into the dense forest. The war machines would be useless there, and Eldenfall's smaller, more agile soldiers could turn the tide of the battle. But the success of the plan hinged on their ability to deceive Varun and his generals, and on their soldiers' ability to fight with speed and precision. The night was spent preparing. The soldiers of Eldenfall, though tired and wounded, gathered their strength for the coming fight. They donned their armor and sharpened their weapons, readying themselves for the most critical battle of their lives. Kaelin moved among them, offering words of encouragement, reminding them of the importance of this fight. They were not just fighting for victory, they were fighting for their homes, their families, their very way of life. At dawn, the plan was set into motion. The Eldenfall forces, under the cover of early morning mist, began to retreat, moving back toward the forest as if beaten, as if their spirit had been broken. The Dominion's soldiers, sensing victory, cheered and pursued, pushing their war machines forward with reckless abandon. They had no reason to suspect a trap. They believed the battle was all but won. Kaelin and his commanders watched from a distance as the Dominion's forces followed, their war machines rumbling through the fields. The tension in the air was palpable. If they could just get the enemy deep enough into the forest, they would have a chance. As the last of the Eldenfall forces disappeared into the trees, Kaelin gave the signal. The forest erupted in action. Eldenfall's archers, hidden among the trees, launched a volley of arrows that struck the first of the Dominion's machines. The massive iron beasts, once unstoppable, were now crippled, their gears and mechanisms jammed by well-aimed arrows. The Dominion's infantry, caught off guard, scrambled to respond, but they were disoriented by the dense trees and the sudden assault. Then, from all sides, Eldenfall's warriors emerged from the shadows, striking swiftly and decisively. The Dominion soldiers, confused and panicked, were thrown into chaos. The war machines, large and unwieldy, became vulnerable, trapped in the narrow forest paths where they could not maneuver. Eldenfall's smaller, quicker soldiers, with their superior knowledge of the land, danced through the trees, striking down Dominion soldiers one by one. Kaelin led the charge, his sword flashing in the dim light as he cut through the enemy ranks. His warriors followed, their strikes precise, their movements fluid. The Dominion soldiers, once so sure of their victory, now found themselves fighting for survival. The forest, once a mere backdrop to the war, had become their greatest weapon. Varun, the Iron Dominion's leader, realized too late that his forces had been lured into a trap. His war machines were useless in the forest, and his soldiers were being cut down from all sides. With a roar of frustration, he ordered a retreat, but it was already too late. Kaelin and his warriors pressed forward, relentless in their pursuit. The final clash between Kaelin and Varun came near the heart of the forest, where the trees stood thick and ancient. Varun, still unbowed despite the chaos around him, drew his sword and charged at Kaelin, his eyes burning with rage. The two leaders met in a clash of steel, their swords ringing out in the still air. The battle between them was fierce, each strike carrying the weight of their people's fates. Kaelin's movements were swift and fluid, honed through years of battle. Varun, though powerful, was growing slower, his rage clouding his judgment. With a final precise strike, Kaelin drove his sword through Varun's defenses, piercing his armor and ending the fight. As Varun fell, the remaining Dominion soldiers hesitated. With their leader dead, their morale shattered, they broke and fled, scrambling to escape the encroaching Eldenfall forces. Kaelin watched as the Dominion's remnants scattered, their once proud army now in disarray. The battle was over. The forest, once a silent witness to war, now stood as a symbol of victory. Eldenfall had survived. The Dominion's threat had been vanquished. Kaelin, bloodied but unbowed, stood over the fallen body of his enemy. The land was theirs, and they had proven that no machine, no army, could ever defeat the will of a people who fought for their freedom. The dawn of a new day broke over the battlefield, casting its light on the warriors who had secured their future. Eldenfall, though scarred by the battle, had emerged victorious.